My group basically is based in Matlot. It's Matlot Kingfishers, and we are the primary group that represent fisher folk in Matlot.
We call it the Command and Fishing Group. It's the fishing group is mainly, the function really is to try and keep the fishing community alive. Our fishing community has been dwindling over the past 25 years. So we work together to try and maintain the fishing community. Seeing the importance of it is one possible job security, especially for, let me say, somebody who didn't make it in school.
We don't have any industries in Toco. So obviously, when you finish school, you leave Toco to get employment. Those who go to higher education, they have to leave Toco to go out. So, you know, the ones who are left behind, they don't have much options. So they either end up just going into agriculture, they're going to the fishing industry, or they just end up on the wayside, literally, sitting down liming whole day. For the fishing industry, they are faced, of course, with, you know, the usual piracy. You know, sometimes they go out and they don't get anything. That may depend on the weather conditions. Agriculture, they too face, predatory larceny. They, of course, they are affected by the weather as well. Crop, insects, pesticides, you know, so that will affect them.
I will say the location and transport. Sometimes the roads are bad, trees fall, so that could be some of the challenges of job opportunities outside of Toco. So that's why most people try to do whatever they do in Toco, like fishing, farming, stuff like that.
Opportunity and education. I think there's a gap between what the Toco people are educated for and what exists in this area.
So people have to travel out of the area to get gainful employment to either Sandy Grande or Rima or Port of Spain. I know some people travel to Port of Spain every day and it takes 3 hours one way to get to Port of Spain to get to work.
Some of the people, maybe teachers, nurses, police officers, even if they fill the public sector jobs, it's not many positions. So that you find most of the people will have to go out of the area in pursuit of employment. Business opportunity is not very significant, but what facilitated that economic growth was the fact that everybody got paid in the community. So they call it the paymaster. So you found there wasn't this resident crime taking place. People would normally get paid on a fortnightly basis because the regional corporation was the main employer in the area. So the paymasters will come in and pay the workers on site, on location. The old age individuals who receive the pension or the grant, that was paid in the community. So the farmers would sell their agricultural produce in the community. The fishermen would sell their fish in the community. So let's assume that I'm a regional corporation employee. I get paid on a fortnightly basis. When I get my salary in Grand Riviere, I would naturally gravitate to the shop and purchase my groceries. The government, in its wisdom, probably because of the issue with crime, they would have centralized all payments to Sandy Grande. So that when I work as a regional corporation employee, my pay comes to my bank account in Sandy Grande. So when it's time for pay, I go to Sandy Grande, either through the route of the ATM or I purchase directly, however, but I am spending my money in Sandy Grande. So by moving the financial resource out of the community, it moved the economic activities.
Men are more laid back. They tend to either go fishing or go into agriculture or just lime on the block. Where the women would progress, they will go forward, they will go out into the urban area and try to get more educated, because we don't have the institution up here to assist with education in the community here.
what I will call sustainable jobs. There's an issue with that in terms of not having the environment created to enable that to happen in the kind of numbers that it should happen. I think one of the weaknesses here is that there is no proper training institution to prepare people for the world of work in any comprehensive way. So you have a heavy brain drain. When you got people well trained, they leave the community because there's no space in the community really for them to get meaningful employment, to stay in the community, to help build the community and that kind. So you have those issues.
I think we don't have a great risk. Most of the people in Toco are healthy, I guess, because of what they consume.
Mental illness, substance abuse. Of course, we have the usual that everybody have chronic illnesses. Sometimes the dry season is really, really dry, and sometimes the rainy season is really wet. But we have always had those seasons. So to say that it's affecting our health, I can't say per se.
I don't think the Toco man is really challenged much on a health basis. I think what happens is that lifestyle diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, things like that, in terms of the environment impacting it, I don't see it as much. Maybe it has, but I don't think there's any evidence to show that the environment is causing any type of major illnesses on the side.
I think that the region has a fair amount, a reasonable amount of health centers.
Drug abuse. When I say drug abuse, in these parts, marijuana is consumed at ridiculous rates. And that, to me, is having spin-offs in the mental behavior of the youth, the male youth especially. The consumption of alcohol at the rum shop continues to be a major problem in these rural areas. And it starts at all ages. And the effect is not measured or quantified. The young youth in Toco, male, his future drive is go up in the hills and plant weed because he sees he can make a quick buck. And he believes life begins for him when he starts to plant weed. So he doesn't see the importance of developing himself academically or otherwise. If I look at the third health challenge, it would be probably lifestyle in terms of diet. You would think that because we're living in Toco people eat a lot of healthy things. They may have good air, but probably Toco people eat more fried chicken than Tong people. I don't think it has to do much with the weather. These health challenges.
I think access is one of the serious challenge. Access to proper health care and so on. To get assistance, you have to spend 18 months before you get an appointment and 12 months before you get an appointment. So you will die 5 times before you get the kind of help that you need to get. So there are those kinds of issues in respect to that. I don't think it has to do with those health challenges really have to do with weather or climate in any significant way.
Hypertensive, diabetes, stroke, and probably obesity.
Cholesterol, hypertension, mental health, and diabetes. We eat without actually paying attention to the health issues part of it.
Yeah, well, I guess there were roads collapsing, there are trees falling, so That's in the rainy season. Sometimes they have high tides where the beaches come into the road that they can't pass and stuff like that. We on the coastline, so there's a heavy wind present where wind blow and people roofs got blown off. So I guess yes.
Also, too, a few years ago, we had lots and lots of seaweed came up on the coast, and it hampered the turtles from being able to lay and blocked off the beaches, and it was hard for fisher people and for people to enjoy for regular citizens to enjoy the beaches, and also too, I think some of the climate has shifted a little bit, and so dry season now starts a little bit at different time, and it's hotter, I think, and I feel it's hotter. The farmers don't necessarily know how to plan for the crops or when to plant it, because the rain is not as it was before. It's changed. Rain patterns have changed from previous years, so it's harder for farmers to plan for their crops if they don't have up-to-date irrigation system.
Yes, I think that you're seeing evidence of sea level rise. Like in the case of Grand River, there's a rock on the beach. We call the rock Buntu. It's at the end of the beach. And you could have gone down the beach, walk around the rock, and there was like about 40 to 50 feet of sand between the rock and the sea. Now the rock is in the sea. So in my lifetime, I have seen the sea come closer to land.
I think one of the things, beside the visible erosions that you see, and so on, there are when it's dry season, the sun is more hot now as well. So you're finding the farmers having more issues in terms of bringing the crops that they normally bring.
Over the last 10 years, most people who get affected with the weather are the fishermen. Sometimes they are caught unprepared with the change of weather pattern, and their boats will be out in the ocean, and they will get some of them will get their boats damaged.
Weather has affected the community, not so much, but still, because with the high levels of, over time, the high levels of sea rising, sometimes when rainfall really heavy, the water would come across, like in Mission. You would have seen the coast, the water would come over the road, and then we will have soil erosion where the trees may fall across the road and things like that. But at a great deal, no, it hasn't. Community groups regularly, no. I would not say they do it regularly. From time to time, yes. My group would have seen that need for environmental awareness, so we would take part in doing the beach cleanup, but generally the groups, I can't say that they do.
To solve negative impacts, we always have to go to the agencies, to the ministries. We tried, especially in Matlot, to build a ramp. Is a ramp? A ramp. So that the boats could be secured. That they could pull up the boats to be secured in case of an emergency overnight with the weather pattern.
Well, you have, from time to time, some groups come together and do some beach cleanups and so on. Turtle groups come together often, 2-3 times a year and do beach cleanup. Our organization, 2 years ago, we did some planting of some trees by the seaside and that kind of thing. It's not done regularly enough. In one time in our history, the community was more inland. and then they came out closer to the sea. I feel history is going to repeat itself unless we do something to protect the seacoast, and we are saying we have less money than we had 15 years ago. So if we have less money and we didn't do the things in that time when we had more money, then I'm not seeing how we're going to do it with less money.
Groups have come together to treat with issues of conservation, sea turtles being one of them. Groups have responded to instances where they are being asked to form community emergency response teams. But there is not this concerted effort by any individual group to treat with environmental issues at that level discussed. No, I'm not seeing that.
Not that I'm aware of. It's something that it's something to think about.
We protest. We protest when the road is bad. When we had the bad weather and their bridges were washed away and so forth, they did come out, they protested, and it seemed to be effective. But to say that we ourselves do anything for ourselves, no. No, we do depend on the government to assist.
Yeah, well, as a community, I said, as a kind of a close-knit community. So when this stuff happens, you see neighbors come out and help each other. So they combat the situation as fast as they could before the relevant persons come to help.